following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
To the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Yo! Happy New Year. It's 2026, and it couldn't have come sooner because 2025, I think, kind of sucked, but it was good too. Okay. But 2026 is going to be even better. And this is the first episode of the 20th season of the Adventures of Pipeman here on W4CY Radio. We are starting off the year with the Positively Pipeman segment, where first, we're going to bring on the pet health guru, and we are going to give some healthy advice for both pets and humans for 2026. And after that, we're going to play some commercials. We're doing some ticket giveaways for festivals coming up on the Pipeman Radio Tour in 2026. So you're going to want to stay tuned and have your chance to win tickets to those festivals. And after that, we're going to have our resident business expert from Next Step CFO come on, Michael Barbarita, and he's going to talk about one of my favorite things in sales and one of my most hated things in sales, and that's cold calling. Is it a punishment by God, or is it a profit machine as an effective marketing strategy? Stay tuned and find out. But for now, let me bring on the studio nut and the pet health guru. Hello. Hello. Happy New Year, pet health guru.
Happy New Year, both of you.
And studio nut, I just noticed something today. I never noticed it before, but it's kind of making me uncomfortable. Okay. But this studio light I have here for doing the show, I noticed when I was looking at it before to turn it on that it looks like the demigorgons or whatever they're called on Stranger Things. And I want to know if you have some plan that you put this right here in front of me, that the whatever they're called, the demigorgons or whatever, if that thing's going to come and get me. Well, if it comes and gets me, it's getting you too, so you're screwed.
Here's the thing. I know you've seen Stranger Things, so you'll be fine.
Well, how about you, pet health guru? Have you seen Stranger Things?
I've seen a lot of strange things, and of course, it's all going on around us.
So let's talk about some healthy advice for 2026. What we can do. Maybe eat some Venezuelan food might be healthy in 2026.
Of course, at the start of the new year, everybody's going to be running out and trying to get rid of all that excess weight that they gained over the holidays and that sort of thing. And the key to it is just start out with doing what is right, eating a clean diet. Get yourself mentally clear. Take a look at your whole situation, huh?
That's key. To mentally clear, I'm all about that. I'm big about getting rid of everything that, as far as work goes, that's been a task or something in 2025 and starting 2026, fresh. I do that every year. I do it every day and every month, the different goal things, but definitely don't want anything lagging. You want to start off fresh. You want to be mentally ready to conquer the year as an absolutely new year. Of course, I came in with that, and then I have this demigorgon up here scaring me during the show. But seriously though, I I gotta tell you too, for people that are now on their mode of like their summer bod, they're going to work on their summer bod now. I do the opposite. Okay. Because I have to eat healthy and clean like I choose to, but I have to as well. And during Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and Christmas, that's the best time of year for me because I can easily lose weight. There's nothing I can eat. Well, I could eat the turkey. That's about it.
Yeah.
But that's why I'll have the flu.
Yeah,
by the way.
I know. I don't have it here either. It's I haven't had so much as even a cold in the last 30 years, and it's it's part of it. I'm not going to allow myself to. That's part of the first part of it is the mental. First sign of any kind of symptom, take care of it. Look at what you did yesterday and last week. What did you eat? What did you drink? How much did you drink? Because that tells you everything that's been going on in your body.
Yeah. And here in South Florida, I am so excited because that long winter is finally over. Those few days, they were really rough there for a few days.
I know.
It like I had to wear pants. Like, what is that? I'm a little. I was a little confused. I was getting, and I just, what I found out is that pants are not healthy for your body. So just don't wear pants.
There you go. Absolutely. But too, with the whole health thing and that sort of thing, we've got to start looking at our pets too. And of course, that mental clarity, that's a big part of it because, our pets pick up on everything that we think. And sometimes way before we even know what we're thinking. And they can detect, if you're going to be sick, if you're going to be healthy. On dogs, of course, you can start increasing your walk time with them, good exercise. Of course, make sure that they are eating clean as well. Stay away from, those ultra processed foods that are basically running up your vet bills.
Yeah. Not to mention, like, I think, is it true, like, during the holidays, probably the pets can be less healthy because of what people are bringing down to the street that they're eating, like if they're out and about, especially cats.
Yeah. It's a big issue there because, you don't know especially if you're at an event or hosting one in your home or something, what the other people are giving your pet, what they're ingesting, what's been dropped on the floor, what's been tracked into the house for that matter.
Yeah.
All these things enter into it. I noticed that for 2026, the skies have been lit up with our banned chemtrails just all over the place. All that stuff that's up there is coming down. So detoxing is important for both ourselves and for our pets. We have to keep those systems clean.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And, to walk in your pets, that's a really good thing because, like, as somebody that walks every day, I think walking with a pet makes it more fun because, like, when I walk and I'm not walking with a purpose, to me, it's like work. Okay. But if you're walking with your dog, you're walking with your kids, walking with your grandkids, walking to get somewhere or whatever, I think you get, I think it's one of the healthiest things. And you don't realize that you're sitting there like doing work. You're enjoying the outdoors. You're getting your exercise, your pet's getting their exercise because, like, how crucial is it, Bill, for pets to get exercise?
Well, I mean, it's the same. Their bodies are very similar to ours in the way that they work. We can, when we ingest foods and poisons and everything else that goes into our body, the liver and the kidney, of course, do a fairly good job of cleaning it out, of filtering it. However, a lot of that filtration is going into the lymphatic system as well, which is not hooked up to a pump. So that movement, that's how it actually starts to move it out of the body through the skin, through sweating, That's important as well. And so the pets need that as well. I mean, if they're just laying around all the time, again, that toxin's building up inside the body. The inactivity, their blood flow basically slows down as well. And then when we do have to start pushing them a little bit, let's say, they have trouble getting up. They have trouble moving around until they basically loosen up. Like we have to warm up if we're going to do exercise.
Right. Now, what would happen in the wild?
In the wild, for instance, wolves, generally their schedule is rather interesting because when we put it in context with our own dogs, our dogs were, I get a lot of clients out there that are feeding their dog 2-3 times a day. And of course, they get upset when the dog is not eating breakfast. Well, in the wild, wolves sleep in. They're not creatures like we are that have to get up and go to a job. They get up when they want to. Usually late morning is when they'll start their activities, which can be anything from grooming themselves, grooming the other pack members, to playing with the kids, if you will. And then, somewhere in the afternoon is when they start to go out to hunt. They're hunting in the late afternoon. Usually then they get their kill, and that's their one meal a day. And then they right back into bed. It's, it's not like the structure that we give on our pets where we have to have them eating 2-3 times a day, and, which is disruptive in a lot of different ways too, because it's not natural for them. And, when you get a dog and the cats are the same way, that doesn't eat for one meal, I mean, oh my God, the owners go crazy. It's like, oh my God, he's dying, or, rushing to the doctor, and, more money.
Yeah. I think in pet health, the money is even more than in human health.
It's getting that way, yeah. I mean, I've seen a couple of documentaries recently on how the corporations are taking over the animal health industry, if you will, the veterinary part of it anyway. All corporate run, prices going through the ceiling, and at the end of the day, there's no increase in the amount of actual care or healing. It's all, again, symptom management. Your dog's got this, he's got a limp. Okay, so what do? We give him a painkiller. But they can't tell us how they feel on the inside.
No.
We can try to speculate by their movement and by their body language. But, so they give them a painkiller that's supposed to last 30 days, a shot, if you will. And what happens if it wears off in 14 or 15 days? The dog can't tell you. The cat can't tell you. And so, we want to start out obviously with the best diet to prevent this stuff from happening. Like I said, a detox is very, very important. And, my opinion, stay away from the doctors and the veterinarians, unless it's an absolute emergency. Emergency care is one thing, but there is no health in most so-called health providers.
Yeah. And so it's funny you mentioned wolves. Two reasons. One is, so I mentioned in the beginning of the show that basically we're going to be giving away some tickets to a couple of festivals. And on those festivals, there's a band that's headlining who my favorite song by that band has the word wolves in the lyrics. So they're going to have to, when they hear the commercials, they're going to have to DM me on all my socials and mention the Pet Health Guru. And they're also going to have to mention what band that is that has wolves in one of their songs, at least one of their songs. There might be more. And so anyway, besides that, I've been seeing these TikToks lately of these wolf dogs. Is that a thing or is that AI?
Yep.
It is a thing?
I couldn't hear you.
I can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so there was this thing I was seeing on TikToks about wolf dogs. Like people have these wolf dogs. Is that a thing or is that AI?
Yeah, no, well, it could be either one. There are breeders out there that have been crossbreeding our domestic dogs with wolves. Of course, all of our dogs started out as gray wolves anyway. So it's it's funny because when everybody goes for that DNA testing to see what their dog breed is, it never comes up wolf. I don't know why. It's just the core.
Right? What? Like, I don't know. I was watching this one. I was saying about basically all these things that it does. And I'm like, why would you want a pet like that? Like, why are we playing mad science? Is I guess why I want. Let the wolves be wolves. Let the
Yes.
dogs be dogs, and let the wolves be in the wild where they belong. Because obviously, if they're going to eat up all your stuff, it's because they don't want to be there.
No,
And
that's
we.
true. It's sad. I mean, I get to see it every day at my paleo pet, where I do a lot of consultations. And by the way, they're entering their 20th anniversary year as well. So
Wow.
For any business to be in business for that long is not an easy feat today.
No, it's not.
So
There's some now that just closed recently, and I was like, holy moly. I was trying to think. There was something I saw recently. I'm like, whoa, that closed? And it's been around forever. So that says you're doing something right, Pet Health Guru, because you wouldn't still be here.
yeah,
if
I
you weren't.
mean, we're trying our best. But when it comes to what we're talking about, the structure and just crossbreeding and all this other manipulative breeding, if you will, right now, bullies and Frenchies and all these so-called exotic breeds are a nightmare when it comes to health, because if they were to escape into the wild, they haven't even got the ability for locomotion to be able to chase down anything, let alone catch it. And if they did catch it, they can't eat because their faces are so smushed up. It's and it creates all kinds of health issues because of that.
So I have a question. Studio Nut here. Okay, we need to know for his guppy what he can do healthy for 2026 for the guppy.
Keeping the water clean, using only good, clean water, which is almost impossible to find today.
So, Studio Nut, what questions do you have for Pet Health Guru about, the health of pets and humans in 2026? What's different? Let's find out what's different in 2026.
Okay, we got it handled.
But here's a good question. Bill, where can people find food for their pets that don't have preservatives?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's an interesting one. Of course, you want to go to a biologically appropriate diet. So on a cat or dog, that's meat and animal, everything that comes from an animal, and then of course minimally processed. If you start out with fresh product, you're going to have clean product. There's no need, your freezer is your preserver, is basically what it is. And it's, some people say it's not as convenient because of that, because they have to thaw it out. And, some people also think that raw meat is horrible. They have to cook it. That's another one of those lies. But it's, so you start out with just fresh, clean food, and that's species appropriate. The same is true with us. And of course, on our side, we have even more trouble because we can't decide where on that spectrum we actually lie, whether we're a carnivore, a vegan, or a vegetarian, or American diet or Mediterranean. It's but you have to, at least we have the ability to make a choice. The animals don't, so we have to find the best sources we can. And of course, at BioComplete, which is the line that I developed 20 years ago. That's all we do is we do fresh meats, put them into convenient packages, and ship them right to your door.
That's interesting because I feel like people are choosing convenience over health for their pets, but they're choosing health over convenience for themselves. Like we've all walked down the aisle of where they have all the pet food. We look at the kibble, the packaging will say something like chicken flavored, but what's actually in it?
You are right, and there's basically no truth in most of the marketing claims that are made. I mean, most of them don't even have what we would call legal status. I mean, natural. What is natural? They're using that on something that's been refined and processed 47 times before it hits the consumer. But it did have a natural source someplace in the world at some point in time.
So they're pretty much stripping it of all its nutrients and then replacing those nutrients with synthetic
Yeah,
chemicals.
chemicals. Yeah, yeah. It's chemistry set. I mean, even I saw a label um, from one of the suppliers that supplies restaurants, and it was package of chicken, whole chicken wrapped. That when I looked at it, first off, it contained 17% moisture, which means they injected it with all kinds of liquid, and there had to be at least 12 or 14 different chemicals in it. And this is what's being sold in restaurants.
Yeah, and even if you look at like when you go to the restaurant, not the restaurant, when you go to a store and you buy eggs, for example, like you'll see like they're either all white or all the same shade of brown. But when you see the eggs that come out of chickens, they're different shades of colors of brown, and some have spots in it and whatnot. So what are they doing to them that are changing the
Basically,
way they look, yet they're still calling it organic?
well, when they're breeding, and this is true with meat and beef and this sort of thing, they're selecting a breed of chickens that is going to produce bigger and more regulated types of eggs. So that's why they're all the same color normally. Part of the marketing, though, is there's two or three different breeds that they use. And if you're on a farm, you might have a dozen different breeds. So you're going to get blue and different shades of blue and greens and tans and that sort of thing in the egg color. But the other thing is that eggs commercially sold in supermarkets, big box stores, that sort of thing, all go through a Clorox bath and
Mm,
radiation. That's why the
mm.
yolks on most of them were so pale. That Clorox is actually inside because an eggshell is semi-permeable, which means it can absorb outside influences, whether it's air or um, different chemicals. And of course, when they wash them, when in an unwashed egg, there's actually a membrane on the outside of that shell that basically keeps the egg fresh and alive. Because if you get real eggs, one of the things I tell people is it's one of the healthiest foods on the face of the earth because if we don't cook it, it produces life. They hatch out and you've got a living organism. So it's actually live food unless they run it through all these processes.
So I want to say too is like I've known you for many many years, like these 20 years, and I remember when you were talking about the real food for pets, nobody else was doing that, and now it seems to be a trend. And I walk into stores that have this one little like gondola or one little refrigerator of supposedly real food. Okay, what's the difference between what you do and what they do?
The main difference is the simplicity of my products. Okay, recipes that I do only animal products, like I said, because that's what dogs and cats need to eat. No preservatives, no colors, no enhancers, and basically I use high choice or better on the meats themselves. Um, it's you know with most of them, when you have to take a look at the prices that they're charging in these stores, they're using the cheapest cuts in the world. A lot of the meat that they use is not fit for human consumption. Could be floor scrap, could be dead and dying cows and chickens, and I know that and that's on the fresh stuff. When we get into the frozens, again, it's the same thing. I mean, they're using a lot of synthetics, a lot of fillers, a lot of things that are inappropriate that just basically make your animals sick and cut their lifespan better than
So it
it has.
says healthier, but it's actually worse.
Yes,
Oh my
yeah,
god.
they want something that looks pretty. It's
It's
like
kind of
our
like
beef.
V8 juice. I found out when I started eating healthy that it is the worst crap ever. It's not healthy at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame. It's actually, I think, a sin that they actually put this stuff on the market, lie about it constantly. You know, as you mentioned, you walk down that pet food aisle, even for the dry foods. What's the difference between the most expensive and the cheapest one? It's all processed the same way. It's a cooking process. It's the steam process.
Are you telling me that Science Diet is no better than Purina?
Exactly.
Whoa.
Exactly. Just all marketing. And most of what's in it is not utilized by the body very well. That's why it's sold, I guess, in the animal clinics, because that way we have a customer who's going to be back every other week with some sort of disorder.
Is that why, like when dogs and cats are eating, they go, that why?
It's actually, the way I show this sometimes is, that bowl of dog food is sitting in the kitchen all day long, and they only go out and eat. They grab one or two pieces and eat that. They're just on a subsistence diet at that point in time. They're waiting for something else to hit the floor. So they're eating as little so they still have room if a good meal finally does come across somehow.
Yeah.
Somebody
That's
drops
smart.
their hamburger.
That's smart. You know what I noticed just recently? I was at somebody's house. They have like 3 cats and 1 little dog. And the dog is older. I think like 15 or something. The dog refuses to eat the dog food, but loves the cat food.
Mm-hmm.
What is that about?
Well, dogs are primarily what we call an opportunistic carnivore. They're a scavenger, so they will eat other things. Cats are an obligate. They have to have a higher meat content in that food and various flavors. So they jazz up the cat food to make it more appetizing, to make it higher in meat content, and of course the flavors, the addictive chemicals that they use to make them addicted to one brand. That's all a part of that. A lot more sugars as well. Cats are absolutely a sugar addictive animal. And it's why the difference is, because it does have those enhancers in it.
So the dog likes that food because it's better to them too. It's more addictive to them too, huh?
Yeah, and that's actually why they eat cat poop too. The poop is better than their dog food.
Wow. Well, maybe we should just store up cat poop in the stores.
No, we're not doing a pet centipede.
Promote it as healthy.
Yeah, it's like when people come in and say, "My vet says I can't give my dog or my cat people food." I said, "Well, they won't let me grind them up either." So,
unless you're gonna make some barbecue somewhere in the South,
right? Exactly.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, Studio Nut. What movie does that come from? What I just said.
For which one, the centipede or?
No, that you brought up the centipede. Okay. Have you sat and had a date with your girl and watched Human Centipede 2? Because that is a romantic movie.
Yeah, I know it's a romantic movie, but not her style, so no.
No, but there was do you remember the name of that movie, Bill? There was this movie way back, and people came from all around for the barbecue. The barbecue was really, really good. And it turned out like this was out in the middle of nowhere, and turned out it was so good because it was humans that were missing.
I don't remember the name of that one, but I remember that it was when it went around. Yeah.
Right? So there you go. So there's our healthy advice for 2026. Cat poop is healthier than the food in the stores that you're buying. So you better buy some real food for pets. And Bill, tell them how they can reach out to you, shop your online store, go into your physical store, and check out your podcast.
Yeah, the storefront is My Paleo Pet, and we're in Pompano Beach, Florida. They can access us both directly in the store or through our website, mypaleopet.com. Of course, they can get their advice as well from the pet health guru himself on the Pet Health Cafe on YouTube and Spotify, and on our other affiliated channels. And it's been a trip. It's, like you say, we're in our 20th year, and I don't know how I could do all these shows talking about the same thing for 20 straight years. That you need to eat healthy,
right? Well, there it is. There's your background, Pet Health Guru. This is what he talks about on Pet Health Cafe. This man I've known for 20 years doing this, and he has helped so many pets, including my own. He'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about some more healthy things for your pets next week on the Positively Pipeman segment of the Adventures of Pipeman. Do you have any final words, Pet Health Guru, before we go on to some ticket stuff?
As always, thank you, Pipeman, for giving me this opportunity to be able to get the message out. And let's have a very, very good 2026.
A healthy 2026 for all your pets and yourselves, except the people you don't like. Let them no, just get everybody great health 2026. Now we are going to we're going to play a couple commercials, and I don't know if you guys remember, but you can DM me on any of my socials, Pipeman Radio, to be entered to win tickets to either one of these festivals we're about to play now. And you're going to want to know which headliner is the one that has wolves in the Pipeman's. It's kind of like my theme song. So you better know it if you want to go to it. All right. Thanks a lot, Pet Health Guru. We'll see you next week. And Juan, take us away. And wait, before you do, Juan, everybody stay tuned after the commercials, because we're going to do some cold calling right here on the Adventures of Pipeman, Positively Pipeman, with Michael Barbarita at Next Step CFO. Roll it, Juan.
The Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival returns May 14th through 17th with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Bring Me the Horizon, and Shinedown. Plus, Pierce the Veil, Good Charlotte, The Offspring, Sublime, Godsmack, Breaking Benjamin, Marilyn Manson, and so many more. Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 14th to 17th. Passes on sale now for as low as $1 down at sonictemplefestival.com. Welcome to Rockville. Returns to Daytona International Speedway May 7th through 10th with Foo Fighters, My Chemical Romance, Guns N' Roses, and Bring Me the Horizon. Plus, Turnstile, Five Finger Death Punch, The Offspring, Breaking Benjamin, A Day to Remember, Godsmack, and so many more. Welcome to Rockville, May 7th through 10th. Passes on sale now for as low as $1 down at welcometorockville.com.
You're listening to The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio, and we're here with our Positively Pipeman segment. And we once again have our expert CFO in the house. So let's welcome Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for having me, Dean.
Hey, my pleasure.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, cold calling.
Yes. So I'll start out by saying when God wanted to punish a salesperson, he created the cold call. However, the reason why I'm bringing it up as a topic is because a lot of people like myself started their business that way, and it's still a very effective way to communicate your product or service and to get business. It's incredible, but it is. It sounds awful, but it is. As a matter of fact, I even heard Grant Cardone on a couple of occasions talk about how cold calling is one of his most effective methods of getting business. And so when I started my business, I didn't have any business at all. So, got on the phone, started calling, but I did it differently. What I did is I identified a problem that people had, which was cash flow, especially at the time, because I started my business around 2008 during the big crash. So cash flow was a big issue then. So since that was a problem that the customer had, I put together a PDF on solving cash flow problems. And what I did is I made cold calls asking business owners if they want to have this free PDF that I have on solving cash flow problems. And of course, on 5 occasions, because I got 5 clients from it, on 5 occasions, they went into deeper detail. So what else do you do? So what do you do? That kind of thing. And I got into it and I sold them. And so they became clients of mine. And believe it or not, this was back in 2008. 4 of them are still clients today. So,
I believe it.
Yeah. And so I have probably grossed about $700,000 or $800,000 of revenue since that time, at least, by making those cold calls. And so, so when Grant Cardone started talking about how effective it really is, I started thinking back to my situation, and not only that, clients that I have. The problem is, Dean, is that people spend probably 20% of their time staring at the phone, knowing they have to make a cold call.
That's where I have to stop you right now.
Right there.
Because I have a story about that.
All right.
I was in the investment business, as you know, and there's more I'm going to talk about that and having to do with cold calling from my story.
Yeah.
But when I owned the brokerage firm, you would have in that business, the people that work for you are on straight commission. Okay. There's no draw, there's no salary, and they can make a ton of money. Like they could make 20 grand a month and more, and all they have to do is pick up the phone. And in that business, that's what it is. It's you pick up the phone and you make 300, 400, 500 dials a day. And so, and I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit, but I called my dad one time and I'm like, man, I just don't get it. I have these brokers working for me. I'm giving them every opportunity in the world. I tell them I'll close the deals for them. All they have to do is get people on the phone and I'll do it all for them, even to help them out to make money. And that's how people learn anyway, better than telling them, right. Showing them.
Right.
And all they do is stare at the wall and they're not getting paid. They could be out doing something else and they're spending their whole day just sitting there staring at the wall. And we're talking before we had phones and stuff like that. So it's not even like they could be distracted by anything. Okay. There was nothing else they could do. They weren't even allowed to make personal calls because it was a landline. And so I called my dad and I'm like, who was a superstar salesperson himself. And I was like, I just don't get it. These people can make like 20 grand a month and all they have to do is pick up the phone and they're staring at the wall. And his answer to me was some of the best advice he ever gave me. And he said, well, if they were you, they would be your competition, not your employees. Yeah. And that made a lot of sense because basically, who are the people that end up in business for themselves? The people that are the top cold callers, not the people staring at the wall.
Right. That's right. It is amazing. And, like I said, what I did is I put together a simple PDF based on a problem that I knew was out in the marketplace. And it made it easier for me to call because I was giving away something of value. And it just so happened that on, enough occasions, people would say, so what is it that you do? And I got into it to the point where, I got them as a client. And, it's funny because one of my clients that I cold called that I still have today always uses me as an example when he's talking to his salespeople. Because he never hired anybody off of a cold call. And somehow we were able, I was able to sell him. And, but, it's how I started my business. And, and I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I stopped cold calling because I was getting referrals and generating business through the strategies that we've talked about on the show. So, it hasn't been a key area for me, but I'm really giving it some serious thought going back to it because I do believe it's very valuable. And the other thing, there is such a thing, and this is going to make everybody like gravitate to it. I probably shouldn't say it, but there is this thing called ringless voicemail, and it's not as good as a cold call. I just want to say that up front. But it's at least a telephone communication. And there are several CRMs that have ringless voicemail. The phone does not ring, but a voicemail is left. And so because it's hot, because I can tell you this, in 2018, I was able to reach business owners every fifth dial. Okay. Today, I'm not able to reach business owners until every 12th or 13th dial. It's harder to reach people today. So that's why ringless voicemail is potentially an option. Because first of all, it's your voice. You're leaving the voicemail. But you're not using their name, which is a disadvantage. But it is a voicemail and it is personal contact. And, you could follow it up with an email. You could follow it up with a LinkedIn message. You could follow it up with a text. So there's ways to, follow up to the point where you sound more real instead of some scamming cold caller. Especially when you follow it up with the other methods of communication. So that's really I found to be the most effective. I've always been a believer in multimedia, I call it. I don't know if that's really the proper way to say it, but it's like using the telephone, using voicemail, using email, using LinkedIn messaging, using texting. This all makes you look legitimate. When you get scammy phone calls, they don't even leave a message usually.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, the next dial or whatever.
I actually get a lot of spammies that leave me messages, and I'm like, that's
Really?
just dumb. I think it's dumb because then you're just telling me you're scam, and I'm going to avoid it every time.
Right. So anyway, that I felt compelled to talk about probably the most fearful marketing strategy on earth.
Well, to me, I just want to say real quick, I think it's one of the best strategies out there. And people, once you get used to it, you don't hate the cold calling. It's like funny. Once I got used to it, I didn't like going back. Because listen, in the investment business, perfect example, I used to buy these leads that were like $200 a name.
Yep. Wow.
And then I also used to buy this lead book, a very specific lead that was the cheapest lead ever in the industry, like the Dun and Bradstreet leads, and we had some other ones like that, 10 cents a name.
Whoa.
I made way more money off the 10 cent a name cold, and because they were cold calls, you were just cold calling people, than I did on the $200 a name, because the people that are requesting information, A, are looky-loos most of the time, B, they're requesting information from everybody, and they're already prepared to say no to you, whereas the cold call, if you handle it properly, they're not prepared for it. One of the dumbest things, I'm going to give people advice right now. One of the dumbest things you could do when you do a cold call is within the first 10 seconds is the most important. That's where you either catch their attention or they hang up. Do not spend that 10 seconds saying, I'm not here to sell you anything right now. You're starting the conversation on a lie. They know that's a lie. It's a stupid line. The other thing you don't want to start with is, how are you? They know you don't give a crap how they are. Right. And you're just opening up the door for them to saying crappy. And now where do you go with that? So that's my two major cold calling advice skills right there. And you just get on with them and get straight to the point and be upfront. They appreciate that. That's why I did so much business, because they were so used to salespeople getting on and like trying to pretend they're not selling anything or try to pretend this, or, just like you're taught when you go in the house to sell, to make a comment on somebody's artwork and stuff like that. People are pretty hip to that, and it just makes you look dishonest. Just say, hey, I'm calling you because of this.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And then they might listen because they're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. Yeah. But they're like, oh my God, this must be something I want to listen to because he's not trying to trick me into it or shit.
Yeah, that's right.
So
very good. Yes, no, that's very good. Very good. But I've always found it to be a difficult subject to talk about because everybody gets squirmishy.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
The topic is brought up, but the way to find out more about what we do as fractional CFOs and strategic advisors is to go to my website, www.nextstepcfo.net. Go to hit the contact. Go to the contact page at the top of the website. Hit the contact button. Fill out the form, and in the message center, put the words book interview. Love to interview business owners, get their industry perspective for the next edition of my book, because I'm always updating my book called Powerful Business Strategies, which I give away free on the website as well. And I'm always updating it because businesses are always changing. And we want to make sure that our strategies work for all different types of industries. So far they have, but we want to continue that process and make sure they still work. So nextstepcfo.net/contact, fill out the contact form, and in the message section, put book interview.
Well, they definitely need to reach out to you because you always have some powerful business strategies. And thank you once again for being part of Positively Pipeman segment. And thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman here on W4CY Radio.
Thanks for having me, Dean.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.